Right, so in the last lecture, we have discussed about Gauss law, which is very important in the examination point of view, and also the Gauss law forms a very important Maxwell's equation, which is Maxwell's first equation. So we have understood what is Gauss law. The net outward flux lines coming out of the closed surface is equal to the charge enclosed by that particular volume. Okay, so that law becomes very important to find out electric field and flux density. And we have also discussed about how to find the electric field for different configurations of charges, whether it is a point charge, whether it's a line charge, surface charge, or a volume charge. Right? So lastly, we have discussed about the concept of a volume charge. Especially we have considered a spherical volume charge, where we have considered two particular cases. One is within that particular charge, what is the electric field, and outside that particular charge, what is the electric field. Right? So we are yet to complete this topic. There is a gate problem. In fact, there is a couple of gate problems. We have to complete that so that we can move into the next topic that we are going to cover in today's class, which is the concept of potential. Okay, so we'll be learning in today's class what is potential, which is an important topic as far as gate examination is concerned. And of course, we'll also have other important topics like capacitance, which is equally important in the gate examination point of view. And if time permits, we will move into the next topic, which is the boundary conditions. So this is what we are going to learn in today's class. So let me read the question once. A solid sphere made of insulating material. So we are having a solid sphere made of insulating material, has a radius r and has a total charge q. Okay, so we are having a solid charge, which is of course an insulating material having a charge which is q. The total charge is present on this particular volume charge is q, and the radius, we have a radius of r. So what is given here is that the volume is uniformly distributed. The charge is uniformly distributed in the complete volume, right? So I can consider my rho v as, because it is uniformly distributed, so I can consider rho v as an average value, the total charge divided by total volume. And we know the total volume of this particular sphere is going to be 4 by 3 pi capital R cube. So Q divided by, here we will be having 4 by 3 pi capital R cube. So we are able to find the value of the volume charge density rho v. Now we are talking about a case where we are concerned about finding the electric field at a distance of r. Now this r is actually less than that of capital R. The value of small r is actually less than that of capital R. So we know how to solve the problem. We have to apply the Gauss law. The closed surface integral of d dot ds is equal to the total charge is enclosed. Which I can write it as the volume integral rho v dv. So this I can write it as d multiplied by 4 pi r square, having a radius of small r, and here it is rho v multiplied by 4 by 3 pi small r cube. Because here we are talking about the small radius and we are only talking about the charge is enclosed inside it, and the charge enclosed inside it is particular region. So it is going to have a volume of 4 by 3 pi small r cube. So r square and r cube, only r is going to be there. 4 pi gets cancelled out, and your electric flux density D is going to be equal to rho v r divided by 3. The electric flux density is going to be equal to rho v r divided by 3. Okay, and what is rho v? Q divided by 4 by 3 pi r cube. This is the value of rho v into r divided by 3. So the 3 which is present here and this one will get cancelled out, and you're going to have Q. Okay, this is capital R cube. Right, so it's going to be Q divided by 4 pi r cube multiplied by r. Okay, so this is about D. We have to find out the electric field intensity. It's going to be E is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r cube into r. Yes, so the answer is option A. For a uniform charge sphere of radius capital R and charge density rho comma, the ratio of magnitude of electric field at distance r by 2 and 2r from the center is dash. I repeat the question once again. For a uniform charge sphere of radius capital R and charge density rho, the ratio of magnitude of electric field at distance r by 2 and 2r from the center is dash. So for r by 2, so first we will be applying the Gauss law. 4 pi r square is going to be equal to rho v multiplied by 4 by 3 pi small r cube. So 4 pi gets cancelled out. So you'll be having d, which is equal to rho v r by 3. So because we are talking about r by 2, so it is rho v capital R by 6. And when we talk about the electric field at r by 2, it's going to be rho v capital R by 6 epsilon naught. So when I talk about the 2r, so it is 4 pi r square, r is equal to 2r. But here it is rho v multiplied by 4 by 3 pi capital R cube. Right, so 4 pi gets cancelled out. So d is going to be equal to rho v capital R cube divided by 3r square. So you'll be substituting small r is equal to 2 capital R. So rho v r cube divided by 3 into 4 r square. So here you will be having capital R left. Here it is 12. So electric field at the distance of 2r is going to be equal to rho v capital R divided by 12. Epsilon naught, of course. So the electric field at r by 2 divided by electric field at 2r. So here you will have rho v r divided by 6 epsilon naught, rho v r divided by 12 epsilon naught. So the answer is equal to 2, which many of you agree that the answer is 2. In fact, many of you got the same answer. Okay, so I didn't remember any formula, just Gauss law. I've understood the concept and I've just applied the Gauss law. It will take less than 1 minute to get the correct answer if you have understood it, how to apply. Given that, please write down next question. Given that D is equal to, the flux density D is equal to R square in the radial direction plus 2 sin theta in the theta direction. Given that capital D is equal to R square in the radial direction plus 2 sin theta in the theta direction in spherical coordinate system. In spherical coordinate system, where capital D is the electric flux density. Capital D is the electric flux density. Capital D is the electric flux density. Full stop. the charge density rho v is given as dash. The charge density rho v is given as dash. The charge density rho v is given as dash. The charge density rho v is given as dash. R square in the radial direction plus 2r sin theta in the theta direction. We have to find the value of rho v. Right. So, can you please tell me, according to what you can see on the board, the flux density, what is the type of coordinate system we are using? We only know three types of coordinate systems. One is Cartesian, the other is cylindrical, third is spherical. What is the type of the coordinate systems that we are using for this problem? Very good. It's a spherical coordinate system, correct? It's a spherical coordinate system. So del dot D is equal to rho v is nothing but the Maxwell's equation, and you know you have to find out only rho v. It means we will be using the Maxwell's first equation or the Gauss law in point form to solve it. So which is nothing but the divergence of the flux density is going to give you the volume charge density. It's going to give you the volume charge density. So let us find the divergence. I told you divergence when we have studied about the chapter basics of EMT, that this formula is very important in the examination point of view. So what did I discuss? 1 by h1 h2 h3. 1 by h1 h2 h3 is going to be r square sin theta. Dou by dou r. h2 h3 dr. h2 h3 is going to be r square sin theta. R square sin theta. And dr, the radial component, which is r square, plus dou by dou theta, h1 h3. So h1 h3 is nothing but r sin theta. h1 is 1, h3 is r sin theta, and theta component, which is 2 sin theta. And we don't have any phi component over there. Okay, so sin theta from here comes outside, and the derivative of r power 4 is going to be 4r cube. And here 2r can come outside, and you are partially derivating it with respect to the of theta. It's going to be 2 sin theta. It's going to be 2 sin theta multiplied by the cos theta. Multiplied by the cos theta. And here you're going to be having 1 by r square sin theta. So if you take this inside, sin theta is going to get cancelled, and you'll be having 4r. You'll be having 4r, and to the inside part 4 will be present. Sin theta will be cancelled out. 4 by r cos theta. So this should be the value of rho v, 4r plus 4 by r cos theta. 4r plus 4 by r cos theta. Please check it once again. So you might have done a very small mistake somewhere. So please understand the mistakes that you are doing in the class. It's a good thing to do mistakes and learning from it. Okay. So it is much better than the students who are not able to solve and just sitting idle. Okay, and just copying down the faculty solution. Instead of that, if you are able to solve it, do a mistake and learn from it, it's a good thing. And of course, it is great if you are able to answer it correctly. Right? So now, we will be moving into the next topic, which is electric potential. Okay, electric potential. Can you please tell me what does the meaning of, or what is the definition of the electric potential? So I already told you that this topic is very important in the examination point of view. So what is the definition of electric potential? Question. So let me give an example. First of all, let us consider an electric field. Let us consider an electric field. Now you see that there is a field which is present in a particular area, and you are having 2 points, let us say A and B, and you have placed your charge. You have placed your charge, let us say the charge is Q, at the point A, and you want your charge to move to a point B. You want your charge to move to a point B, right? So the charge is actually kept at the point A. Now you want your charge to move to the point B. Now the situation is like this, that the charge has to move against the field. The charge has to move against the field. Yes or no? So whenever the charge is moving against the field, it means that the charge has to do some work against the field. It is something like a person is pushing you and you are moving in the direction of that particular person, right? So basically you are facing an opposition from a particular person or a particular force, and still you are capable enough to do some amount of work. That is the scenario that we are considering. Now, whenever the electron or a charged particle, if it is moving against the electric field, it means that it is doing some amount of work. It is investing some time and it is doing some amount of work which is against the field. And when it is doing some work against the field, it is going to increase its potential. It is going to increase its potential. It is something like what you experience when you move up the stairs. So when you are moving up the stairs, okay, so you might have reached this particular point. Starting from here, you might have reached this particular point. Don't you think that when you are moving step by step, you are actually doing some work? When you are moving step by step, are you not doing some work? And you are doing some work against something. What is that? You are doing some work against something. What is that? Very good. So you are doing some work against the gravity. So I am saying that you are doing some work only because you are facing an opposition from the gravity, and in spite of that you are able to move upstairs and stand here. It means that you have done, apart from attending the classes, you are also doing some exercise. Okay, so you are actually doing some work and reaching here. It means that in a way you are gaining something. That something is what we are calling as a potential energy. Now, you might ask a question, sir, we are actually sweating out. We are actually investing some energy, doing some work. It means that we are spending some energy to reach this particular point. Then how can you say that I am gaining energy? But energy is going to be constant. It only changes from one form to the other. This is something that you should not forget about. So here, the energy that you are gaining is nothing but what we are calling as a potential energy. Okay, now what is the surety that I am gaining the potential energy? What is the surety that I am gaining the potential energy? Once you jump from here, you will understand that how much energy you have gained, right? Once you are jumping from this particular top stair, then you will understand that how much amount of energy you have gained. Yes or no? More height you are gaining, it means that with more velocity you are going to fall. It indicates that you have actually gained a good amount of energy in going from maybe a ground floor to a top floor. The same is the situation with a charged particle also. So whenever a charged particle is moving against the field, moving against the electric field, it is actually going to tend to gain some energy. That is what we are calling as a potential energy. So we are talking about the potential energy only in this particular case. Okay. So now let me consider that I am moving from A to B, in which I am considering a very small part, a differential length of it. And let me call this differential length as dl. Now, the differential work done here in this case, can you please tell me what is it? We know the work done is given by force multiplied by some displacement, right? Force multiplied by some displacement. So here also, when I am talking about the differential work done, I can write it as the force multiplied by the displacement. So the differential length. Yes or no? Yes, of course. F dot dl, that's fine. F dot dl, perfectly correct. Now what is this F? F is nothing but Q multiplied by E dot dl. Now there is a catch here, that here the work done is not by the electric field, the work done is against the electric field. This formula might indicate that the work is done by the electric field, but actually the charged particle is doing the work against the field. So to indicate that the work is done against the field, we will be keeping an extra minus sign, which gives us an indication that whatever work is done is against the field. It is not in the direction of the field. Now if I wanted to calculate the total work, so I will be integrating on both sides. So if I integrate on both sides, integral. Now integrating from where to where? I have to integrate it from the point A to the point B. The point A to the point B. So if I indicate that the total work done in moving from A to B is WAB is going to be equal to minus Q. So integral A to B E dot dl. So now I will take this Q to the other side. WAB divided by Q is equal to minus integral A to B E dot dl. Now what is this? WAB divided by Q is nothing but work done per charge. This work done per charge is what we are calling as electric potential. This is what we are defining as electric potential. But here specifically we are taking a case where you are moving from A to B. We are specifically taking a case where we are moving from A to B. So we say that VAB is going to be equal to minus integral A to B E dot dl. VAB is equal to minus integral A to B E dot dl. So how can we actually define this electric potential? The electric potential is defined as work done per unit charge. Work done per unit charge in moving from one point to another. Work done in moving from one point to another against the field. So this is the definition of the electric potential. So electric potential is defined as work done per unit charge. Work done per unit charge in moving from one point to another. So here the points that we have considered is A to B. It can be from where to where? From any point to any point. Okay, it can be from infinite to a finite point. Doesn't matter. Okay, so when you're talking about a generalized definition, we are not going to define about what those points are. We just say it as it is the work done per unit charge in moving from one point to the other. Work done per unit charge in moving from one point to the other. Please note down till here and just let me know once it is completed. Right. So now you see here there is a question that what is the meaning of VAB? Is it VA minus VB? No. Because you please understand, if you are moving from the point A to point B, if I say that the potential at this point A is VA, the potential at this point is BB, and you are moving from one point to the other, it is something like you are defining the potential of each step. What is the potential energy of each step? It is something like that. We can also define the potential energy of each and every point which is present. So if I say that the potential energy here is VA and the potential energy here is VB, then if I am moving from VA to VB, then can you please tell me what is the potential? If I am moving from VA to VB, the difference of potential that I can consider here will be VB minus VA. The difference of potential that I can have is going to be VB minus VA. So VAB is actually not VA minus VB, it is VB minus VA. So VAB is equal to minus integral of A to B E dot dl, isn't it? So in a general way, what I can write is V is equal to minus integral E dot dl. This is a general way of writing V. V is going to be equal to minus integral of E dot dl. Now let me forget about minus for some time. Okay. So what I will be doing is that I will be taking the integral to the other side. So this becomes differential, a differential voltage. So dV is going to be equal to E dot dl. So because of the dot product, you will be getting E dl cos theta. So dV by dl is equal to E cos theta. Now can you please tell me what is the maximum value of dV by dl? What is the maximum value of dV by dl? Can you please tell me what is the maximum value of dV by dl? Very good. I remember that we have missed the minus sign. Let us keep it aside. Now what we got is the maximum value of the rate of change of potential. Maximum value of the rate of change of the potential is nothing but the electric field. The maximum value of the rate of change of the potential is nothing but the electric field. Now what is that we have defined? We have defined that the maximum rate of change of a scalar, a potential is going to be a scalar quantity, right? So a maximum rate of change of a scalar is what we defined as a gradient. If you remember, when we discussed about the vector calculus, we have defined that a potential or just a gradient is going to be the maximum rate of change of the potential. A maximum rate of change of any scalar quantity, which is potential in this particular case. So what we understand is that the maximum rate of change of the potential is electric field. But yes, now I wanted to include the minus sign. Okay. So what I can say is that the gradient of V is going to be minus E, or E will be equal to minus of the gradient of V. Now what does this mean? Because of the presence of minus sign, what it means is that the direction of the electric field or the electric field itself will be in the opposite direction to the of maximum rate of change of the potential. The electric field direction will be opposite to the direction of maximum rate of change of potential because of the minus sign. So if the minus sign is not present, then I would say that the electric field is nothing but the maximum rate of change of potential. Now because of the presence of minus sign, I would say the electric field, of course the magnitude is same, electric field is in the opposite direction of the of maximum rate of change of potential, which is a very, very important formula over here. It's an important formula, and even this particular formula is important. So V is equal to minus integral of E dot dl is also an important formula. Right? Right, so now we have seen that the electric field is present and you're moving from the point A to point B. So we have written VAB is going to be equal to minus integral of E dot dl. This is from A to B. I wanted to consider a closed loop. I wanted to consider a closed loop. The closed loop of E dot dl as moving from A to B, E dot dl, and then moving from B to A, E dot dl. You have to understand one thing very carefully here, that whenever I am moving from the point A to point B, whenever I am moving from point A to point B, I can move like this, I can move in the straight line, I can also move something like this. You can move in any particular direction you want or any particular path you want, but what is important is that when you are moving from one point to the other, the potential that we are having is nothing but, when you are moving from one point to the other, the potential is nothing but VB minus VA. We should not forget that. Correct or not? So, whatever work is done here, because potential is nothing but work done per unit charge. So, whatever work is done under the influence of this electric field, whatever it is, against the influence of the electric field, whatever work is done is independent of the path followed. Is independent of the path followed. Such fields are what we call as conservative fields. Such fields are what we call as conservative fields. So any particular field that we are having in which you are moving and the path of movement doesn't matter. The path of movement does not matter. Such fields are what we are calling as the conservative fields. Such fields are what we are calling as conservative fields. So the static electric field is an example of a conservative field. The static electric field is an example of a conservative field. Now, you see, integral AB E dot dl is nothing but minus VAB according to this formula. Integral A to B E dot dl is nothing but minus VAB. And when you're moving from A to B, B to A, it's going to be what? Minus of VBA. So if you take a minus as common, so VAB is nothing but VB minus VA. And VBA is going to be VA minus VB. So totally it's going to become equal to 0. It means that the closed line integral of E dot dl, the closed line integral of E dot dl is equal to 0. This is one of the form. Now I will be applying curl. Let me apply the Stokes theorem. So if I apply the Stokes theorem on this formula, Stokes theorem is a very important formula in the basics of EMT. So if I apply the Stokes theorem, the surface integral del cross E dot ds is equal to 0, which implies that the value of del cross E is equal to 0. Okay, so this is what we are calling as the Maxwell's equation for static electric field. Maxwell's equation for the static electric field. Okay, so the reason why this is happening, is because the field that we are having is a conservative field. The field that we are having is a conservative field. It means that whatever the work is done is independent of the path followed. The work is done is independent of the path followed. In such case, we call that particular field as the conservative field. And as a consequence of it, you are getting these particular formulas. The closed line integral of E dot dl is equal to 0 and the curl of the electric field is also equal to the dot of 0. These are applicable in the case of the static electric fields. So please complete it here and just let me know. And you can also ask if you are having any doubt. That is the reason why I have given this example, so that this is easy to relate. We clearly know that the potential energy is a function of the height. The potential energy that we discussed in the case of the gravitational concept is dependent on the height. So the more height you are gaining, it means more amount of potential energy you are going to have. Just like the way you are quantifying that this is the amount of energy a particular step is going to have. This step is going to have. So in a way you are quantifying that what is the energy at each and every point. right? In the same way, we are also doing the same thing here, that I would say that each and every point that is present in this field, each and every point which is present in this field would be having certain amount of potential, When you are moving from one point to the other, it is only the difference of potential you are seeing. You will be seeing that how much amount of the extra energy that I have gained when moving from one point to the other. How much amount of extra energy I have gained in moving from one point to the other. The same thing is going to happen here when you're moving from one point to the other, one point to the other, one point to the other. So that is why I told you that. So the potential here when you're moving from the point A to point B is nothing but whatever you have gained minus whatever energy that you had before. So it is VB minus VA. It is VB minus VA. So the new energy that you are possessing minus the old energy that you already had before is nothing but the potential. So how are we defining this potential? The potential is defined as the work done per unit charge. It is defined as the work done per unit charge in moving from one point to the other against the electric field. One point to the other against the electric field.